Did Korean help me with learning Chinese? Short answer? Yes. Long answer? Let's get into it. 오, 12달이ですね. はいはいはい, ちょっと待って. はいはいはい, ちょっと待って. Let me drink some water. It is 7 o'clock in the morning, so my voice is kind of like not the best because I haven't been speaking. But I was really excited to talk about this topic and to get kicked back onto Gladly Global, use the beautiful light in this room. I'm currently staying at my friend's house. She is a tarot reader, very unrelated to this channel, but if you're interested in that, I will leave her channel name down below. Today, let's see. 좀 어때? I often get this question about how much learning languages helps learning another language, and generally it's not super specific. A lot of people do ask me about Asian languages, but I also get the question when it comes on to, say, studying Spanish and then Portuguese, or studying Swedish and then German or something like that as well. And it's actually very case by case. It depends on the languages a lot, and it also depends on the person a lot. But there are some patterns and some things that could potentially be good to know if you're going in blind. And so I decided to make this video and also maybe break up my experience a bit across a few different videos to talk about how each language has helped the other for me. If you're new here, my name is Ray and I speak multiple languages. I'm a language coach. I taught languages, Japanese, Korean, English, for years, like 8 or 9 years or something like that. And on this channel, I talk about my language experience as well as try to showcase the language experience of other language learners as well. Like we have Polyglots Talk where we invite different people. We also have a community of over 1,000 members and a very small membership community of people who meet every single week, including me, to sit down, talk about their journey, and kick off their language learning during that week. And it is like the best thing. We've been going for 2 years, and without it, I would not have been consistent at all. So if you're interested in that, check down below. Number 1, how similar are Korean and Chinese? They are really not similar. Like, I think people, because they are not familiar with Asian cultures and Asian spaces, when they see Asian spaces, they're like, oh, they're basically the same, and then assume that the language is similar also, and it's really not. You have to remember that Asia is a very old place, like way older than Western sphere, and therefore there has been a lot of time for languages to develop individually, especially. No, I'm not even gonna say especially, they're very different. But I decided to start this series with Korean and Chinese because I do actually think that there are a lot of similarities despite being completely different languages. The grammar structure is not similar at all. Like not even close. The order of words is completely different. The pronunciation is completely different. The vibe of speaking is completely different. But you do get help when it comes on to vocabulary, especially advanced vocabulary.
운동, 운동. 우산, 유산. 정리, 정리. 기회, 机会. 노력, 努力. 변태, 变态.
And also this important mindset of thinking through Hanzi. Which brings me to my next point, which is, in which ways did learning Korean help me with my Chinese? So I'm currently learning Chinese. I've been learning for a long time.
Hi, this is Editing Ray from the future. With a face mask on. I was just about to go down this whole side rant about how long I've been learning Chinese because I'm a little bit self-conscious about the fact that I've been learning for so long, on and off. But that's not what you came for in this video, so I cut it out. But yeah, I just wanted to be transparent with y'all that it wasn't directly Korean to Chinese, if you know what I mean yet. Okay. Back to your scheduled program.
Since vocabulary is similar, it helps a lot, but there's a bit more to it as well. Like, it's not just things being similar, it's like pieces being similar. So for example, Korean uses a lot of Chinese characters and they pronounce them the same way every time. So let's say they use the Chinese character shui, water, and in Korean it's gonna be su, su. So every time I see su, it could also be another character, but many times I see su, I can understand that it's shui, or vice versa. When I'm looking at Chinese, I make connections with the Korean quite often, and I find that when I cannot remember the vocabulary word or I don't know the word at all in Chinese, I can use the Korean and try to think of what the Korean word would be pronounced in Chinese. So let's say, for example, let's give a good example. Let's say the word I want to say in Chinese is 청년, and I don't know how to say 청년 in Chinese. So I will go, 청 is usually something like 小, and then if I say, okay, 년 is almost always 年, I will guess that 청년 is 小年. And it's not always correct, but sometimes I get in the ballpark, and then when I start to say something because of context, native speakers will understand me. So that has been helpful. The next thing that Korean and Chinese helps each other to understand is also just the concept of using Hanzi. It's not just matching each word to each other, it's also the fact that there is a cultural habit of using Hanzi to understand words. There is a deeper level. There are several levels to meaning of the word. Like in English, we just have one. We have one impression. Well, that's not true because you can use Latin or Greek or something like that. But generally, we only get one impression. But in Chinese and Korean, there is almost always this two-layered impression, which includes the understanding of the Hanzi character, or when you look at the character, it might be built up of certain things like a crow and the wind or something, and because of that it gives another like layer of depth to understanding that word past the common functionality of that word, if that makes sense. And that's something that takes a lot of time to get used to and think about. Definitely learning one of these languages automatically puts you in the perspective to think that way when you start the next one, which otherwise would have taken you a long time to get used to. Number 3, if I was learning from zero, if I had no experience with either language, how would I approach it, and what would be some things that I consider? So first of all, I want to say I learned Korean more before I learned Chinese properly, hence the topic of this video. But definitely Chinese is the origin language, meaning that Chinese is the one that Korean borrows from and not the other way around. As well as Chinese is a bit simpler, like the building blocks at which people are gonna come for me in the comments, but I mean the building blocks. Even if you learn, say, the most frequent 300 to 500 words in Chinese, you already know quite a bit of Chinese. You can use that for quite a bit of interactions very strongly, because you don't have a lot of grammar in Chinese. You really just need the words, as well as the fact that those base 500 words build almost all the rest of the vocabulary, as well as will be crucial in so many Korean words. So I do truly feel like if you really have no preference and you want to learn both, then you might as well spend some foundational time learning Chinese first, and then it will open a lot of doors and make things a lot easier for Korean and other East Asian languages as well. But, and this is a big but, if you have a language in mind already, or you really want to learn one over the other, like let's say you're really itching to learn Korean now, but you also kind of want to learn Chinese, I really do not think it makes sense to try to force yourself to learn Chinese first, because the help is not big enough where the task is too large for you to just put away your passion and focus on something else for a really long time to then just get this amount of help. Like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. This video is not really to tell you to learn one or the other, or that there is some set formula that you must follow. It's more to give you perspective, especially if you're, say, learning it at the same time, or perhaps you've been learning for a while but you never thought about it from this angle, or just to inspire you to language stack a bit more. No pressure. Okay, so that was it for today's video. If you liked it, please do comment down below what you're learning. Like if you started with Korean, you started with Chinese, what you've noticed. I'm sure there are more things that I didn't say in this video. It was quite a quick one. And if you have any other questions about learning languages, Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Swedish, whatever, I would love to answer it in a video. So please do make comments, because I'm coming back to YouTube and I'm feeling kind of lonely because it's been a long time. So please comment something. Maybe throw an emoji down there. I just want to see that you're here. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the community on Instagram. Bye bye.